Yeah, I was just going to say entrepreneurship is a lesson in self-leadership.
It is. Welcome to Female Founder Unplugged, the show where we cut through the noise and have a real, raw conversation about what it takes to build and scale a successful business as a female entrepreneur. I'm Lindsay White, people strategy expert, leadership coach, and fellow founder. And I know firsthand the challenges of scaling sustainably and staying connected to your passion along the way. This podcast is for ambitious women just like you, seasoned founders and CEOs navigating the challenges of leadership, team building, and sustainable growth. In each episode, we'll dive into those topics that are most important to you as a female founder. You'll hear honest, no BS conversations about building, growing, and leading a team and culture so that you can grow without losing yourself in the process. Because let's be real, entrepreneurship can feel isolating, and leadership doesn't come with a roadmap. If you've ever struggled with the pressure of running a business, felt overwhelmed by growing your team, or wondered, how do I scale without sacrificing my vision and my purpose? You're in the right place. Let's get unplugged. Welcome, everyone, to Female Founder Unplugged. I have my good friend Brenda here with me today. We were just joking before we hit record. We've done so many of these conversations over the last couple months. We can pretty much create our own podcast show at this point. But Brenda and I always have the best conversations, and I'm excited to have her as a guest today. Brenda, thanks for being with me.
Lindsay, thank you so much. And thanks, everyone, for listening today. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you because oftentimes the tables are turned. You've interviewed me a couple times for a couple different things. So I'm actually excited to have you as a guest and be able to put some questions to you today because you always ask thoughtful questions.
All right, bring it on.
Bring it on. I love it. Brenda, I mean, to start off with, tell us who you are and what you do and who you help because that's important.
Yeah, that would be good. Well, I'm Brenda Rigney. I live on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada, and I am a business coach. I work specifically with midlife women that are in this beautiful intersection of life where it's like we're doing all the things. We've got so much knowledge and information and passions to share with people. So we're either pivoting our careers or launching a business, or we're caring for aging parents and maybe still some littles at home that are becoming adults. We're doing it all. And so I work specifically with women that are thinking about leaving their corporate job and starting up their business, and as well women that have left their jobs, started up their business, maybe like 1 or 2 years into it, and it's not feeling so dreamy after all. And let's bring back the dream of like why you launched this business to begin with, and why are you mired in like social media posts and all this sort of stuff that you think you need to do as a business owner.
Yeah. Yeah. And Brenda, this is where you and I totally align, right? Is like you've started a business, it started to grow, you've started to build something, and you were generally really passionate about it when you started. And it's not as easy as it looks on the outside.
No, especially in the Instagram world too, where you go in there and like, I don't know, you see these like 7-figure business owners and they've got like their bougie bags and their beautiful nails and all this sort of stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, usually when you find me, it's like, I got a haircut up here. Into my 7th cup of tea for the day. I'm like, let's go. So it's just, I think that's like probably more the dose of reality for a lot of business owners. And like I mentioned, I think as midlife women, we're juggling lots of things. Plus, I didn't mention the big P word or the big M word. We're going through menopause or early symptoms of those things. And it's like all of a sudden we've got these great intentions of like building our empire today. And then what were we doing?
Yeah, wait a minute. Why did I walk into this room?
One of the 97 symptoms of perimenopause like drops in our lap in that very second that we want to build our empire. And it's just like, it's exhausting, right?
It's exhausting.
How do we create these dreamy like businesses that we've been sitting in our corporate jobs imagining, going, okay, is there anything else I can, is this all it is? It's my career. I want to create something more. I want to really go after my passions, the things that I love. But then I'm also, juggling all these things going on in my life. Like I mentioned, the relationships, the health, all these things. And never mind the fact that also when we were in corporate, pay equity gap. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the dollar to men. So now we're putting in our life savings. We're trying to like build these businesses. And so now we're getting into not only a pay equity gap that we inherited from our corporate days, but also this like perpetual wealth gap that we're trying to like, cross the chasm with. So there's all these things like we're trying to do. And again, look great on Instagram, beautiful nails, all these things. Right? It's just like,
So first of all, let me say, and I just love this. Like when you see these Instagram profiles where every picture is of them on the beach, of them leaning against some kind of high-end sports car, holding the purse, holding the, like if that's your Instagram vibe, I'm a hard pass. Like we don't do that.
Say awesome, like good for you.
Oh
but
no.
Also, like let's just get into reality here.
Let's get into reality. And that's friends, this is why I love Brenda, because it is about the reality with her and in her community, the Aligned AF community that I'm a part of, because it's just real. It's women that are trying to build the business that they really love. They're passionate, they're experts, and that's what we all have to offer. But it's really tricky. It's really tricky. I call it being the chief everything officer instead of being the chief executive officer, because we're trying to do it all personally and professionally, as you've said. And that's what makes it really hard.
Yeah. And, this has been a journey for me. I've been in entrepreneurship now for, I want to say since I was 19. Like I've been in entrepreneurship because I've always worked for very entrepreneurial organizations, worked side by side with a lot of the founders that I worked with that are major brands now. But in the days like when I was working with them we were just trying to make our mark and get established. So I learned lots of great things about entrepreneurship. But having my own business over the last 6 years, it's really up until, I want to say, the last 18 months where I just see this perpetual pattern of, women entrepreneurs that I work with want to go after their passion, which is great.
Yeah.
And then just confronted with this massive brick wall that then they choose what they're always good at doing, which is helping others versus helping themselves, right? And it just goes back to that adage, like whenever we board the flight and we hear the drill, from the flight attendant, put your own oxygen mask on first.
Yeah.
Assisting the person next to you. And by default, I think as women entrepreneurs, if there's all these things imploding in our life, and I'm not even talking about major catastrophes, it's like kid forgot their soccer shoes at home.
Yeah.
But I'm on the middle of a launch call series. I'm going to drop everything and go get the kids soccer shoes versus like, no, I'm launching a major integral program in my business. Sorry, I guess you're not playing soccer today. And I'm not saying like you have to be a tyrant, but it's just like we always have to default to helping others because actually we've been the easy way for us. And entrepreneurship is difficult. It's challenging. And I'm not saying don't do it, but let's face it, the numbers are there.
Yeah.
Than 2% of businesses that start this year will actually be in business next year.
Yeah.
So, it's like we're already up against that steep curve. There's also not a lot of mentorship for women in entrepreneurship.
No.
I don't know about you, Lindsay, but I wasn't tapped on the shoulder at 18, even though I came from a very entrepreneurial family. No one was saying to me at 18, start your own business. It was like, go to school, get a good job, get married, have the house, have the kids, check, check, check.
Yeah.
And at some point or another, around 40, 45, I'm like, okay, what else? I did that. And there wasn't necessarily a lot of mentorship to say, okay, you should do this now.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I quit my job in the middle of a meeting with my toxic boss and walked out. Like I'm a total accidental entrepreneur. And so
this is why we connect. I was in the middle of my divorce and my boss was just like, hey, I need to talk to you about your performance. And I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah. See ya. No,
I'm like a major life crisis.
Oh, I know.
Right now.
Don't
talk about my performance. Yeah. It might be a little bit unwavering right now, but come on.
That's a whole nother we'll have to do another episode to talk about don't. If you're a leader in your business, here are some things you need to do, including having some emotional intelligence, which clearly your former boss was lacking. Yeah, get a grip. The one thing that the word that keeps popping into my head as we talk about this is leadership. We haven't used that word, but this is about leadership. And I always say you have to lead yourself first. Leadership is an inside job. It starts from the inside out, and it is very much about how you govern your own behavior. What are your values? How do you live those values? Whether you're momming or you're CEOing or you're right, how are you showing up for yourself in your life? That is the L in the LPC method. It's got to be about leadership. And Brenda, that's really what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and that it is.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say entrepreneurship is a lesson in self-leadership.
It is.
If you didn't have it before, you're definitely going to get it in there. And if you resist it, that's where I think you run into problems.
100%.
Here's an opportunity for you to step up into leadership for yourself, right? You know, the accountability, the curiosity, the discipline around things, like all those things.
Yes.
Ways of a self-leader and then some. And so like the more you resist it, it just, well, number one, it runs havoc on your nervous system. And again, as we're going through all these hormonal changes in midlife, we don't need anything more on top of what our body is naturally through in perimenopause. So then to have additional stress, to, have additional fatigue on our bodies while we're going through menopause as we're entrepreneurs. And I know it sounds like I'm talking everybody out of entrepreneurship.
No, she's not doing that. No.
Maybe because I've got like a lot of things going on this week. I don't know, but I'm not trying to talk you out of entrepreneurship. I'm just like, I want to first acknowledge every woman entrepreneur that's listening to this podcast now. Like, good job. Stay with it. I love you. Like, love
yes.
It's like, this is what you were made to do. And I think to your point, Lindsay, like recognize that this is a lesson in self-leadership.
Yeah.
So what to do to continue to harness those skills, because in the darkest hour where you're thinking I'm alone in this and there's no one here to help me, number one, not true. You mentioned the Aligned AF community, but also secondly, like you help yourself. You put
Yeah. It's so interesting because I love the way you frame that the entrepreneurship is a lesson in leadership. But what I have found that is so curious over the last 6 years of being in business, so many female entrepreneurs and small business owners do not think of themselves as a leader. When I approach them and I say, you need to elevate your leadership. If you want a high-performing team, you need to be a high-performing leader. What does that mean for you? And they stare back at me blankly for the most part. We don't think about ourselves as leaders actually until it's almost too late, until our business is gone off the rails, until our team is toxic and filled with drama. And then you come to someone like me and say, Lindsay, help me. I can't nobody's accountable. Nobody's taking ownership. I want to burn this goddamn thing to the ground. And I say, we got to start with you. What do you mean you got to start with me? They're the ones that aren't performing. Well, it starts with you. You're the leader. Oh, I'm a leader? Oh, shoot. Missed that one. It's so interesting, Brenda.
Again, depending on your background before you started entrepreneurship. What type of mentorship? I mean, we saw this. I mean, anyone that's like in the corporate world right now, like post-COVID, leadership development programs were cut.
Oh, yeah.
Like we did all this like mental health, Zoom calls, special like programs during COVID. And then after COVID, all of those things got cut and then some. So, and then we're seeing exodus of women leaders, mentors, potentially to younger generations of women leaders or potential leaders in businesses leaving to go start their own business, which again is amazing. Yeah. But I think my daughters who are emerging adults and will be in the corporate world in the next 2 to 4 years, who's going to be mentoring them? Yeah. And who's talking to, them about leadership? I'm going to obviously get them to go work with you because like there's nobody.
Yes, I love
world, it. Right. And so it's like this cycle of like all this work that you and I did when we worked in corporate, building up our careers, learning about people management, leading teams of people, blood, sweat, and tears, learning all those things and developing those skills. Like it's vacating corporate workplaces now.
Yeah, it is.
So, there's that element of it. And then there's this like surge of like younger women coming into entrepreneurship that have never kind of worked in corporate areas. And as much as I sometimes like, I can sit with you over a glass of red wine and, talk about our glory days of corporate. We learned some fundamentals.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That, that help us in our life with our relationships, help us in, working with vendors, help us work with advisors, coaches, etc. And so, and helping us like with ourselves. So, yeah, I think that ultimately, where I would sort of not to like sum up our conversation because I'd love to talk to you more, but it's just more like, don't leave this as the last thing. Like, I know it's easy to think about, I need this email marketing tool, or I need this new, copywriter to work on X, Y, and Z on my website. Yeah. But again, all those things are important for your business, but it's also like, think about yourself, like as far as self-leadership, what do I need in the next year, the next 2 years? Yeah. I've got this big goal. I want to add 20K months to my business. What is that going to require of me to do that?
Yes.
It's not just going to be a tech platform or hiring a virtual VA to help me.
100%. The one thing I want to add to what you said, because all of that was brilliant, is that sometimes we've actually had really bad examples. I had some really great leaders I worked with. I had some horrific leaders that I either directly work with or as the HR business partner, I had to help. So sometimes we come out of corporate and I see women go into business and they become a doormat because the last thing they want to do is be like that horrible boss they had. Yeah. We let our team, we let our vendors, we even let our clients walk all over us because, we don't want to be the bad guy. We don't want to be that jerk. That doesn't work either. Like, we can't have the pendulum swing too far either way, because what it does in the end, to your point, it adds stress for us. It does not enable us to take care of ourselves or the rest of the jobs that we have to take care of every day, not just our business, but in our personal life too. And I think that's critical.
It is absolutely critical. And this is where the conversation's not being had in this space right now. I don't see really any sort of anyone in sort of way where I spend my time, which is in the business coaching or sales coaching or helping people get into entrepreneurship. No one is acknowledging at midlife, in my 20s, I could work 70-hour weeks.
Yeah, right.
And I could do it for 6 weeks straight if I wanted to. I'd just be going,
but not now.
I can't. And no, and that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not effective, and that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not a good coach for somebody, and that doesn't necessarily mean I don't have things to offer. It's just physically, and also I don't want to. I've earned my stripes. I've got the medal. I've got the war wounds. I don't need to work 70 hours a week to prove my worth and my value to my clients anymore. No. You can have a coaching call with me for 20 minutes and we can create a transformation.
Yeah.
And I don't even need to prep for that 20-minute call because I've got 35 years of experience.
Exactly.
And that's what you're paying for when you work with a coach that's got that experience at midlife. And I just want to remind all those midlife business owners, it's you have the knowledge, you have the experience, you have the wealth of opportunities that you can share with somebody that's just really only a couple steps behind you. You don't necessarily need to be thinking, we need to be helping these people over here when you could just help the people that are in 10, 20 degrees proximity to you.
Yeah.
And be of incredible value and only work 25 hours a week or 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
But the critical thing is that we talked about earlier, self-leadership. Yeah. And it's also, I think, the discipline to kind of stay the course, because the other thing that I see happen is that if we don't get it by Friday, because everyone on Instagram told us that we could be 7-figure millionaires by Friday, with beautiful nails and everything, that we give in, we change our offers, we change this, we change our messaging, we redo our website, and for the 25th time, we do all these things. And so we're in this perpetual hamster wheel of trying to move our, when really we have nothing to prove. You've been on the planet for 50 years maybe, and you've been working for 35 of those years, and you have so much to offer.
That is exactly it. Yeah.
Stay the path, be consistent, and show up really at the end of the day. Show up even in the 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week that you want to put into your business. Show up in those times.
I mean, that to me in there, and this word gets overused, but that's really mindset work, that you have incredible value. You don't need another certification. You don't need more education. You don't need the new fancy trick. You don't need the new app. You got it. You are enough right where you are because A, your lived experience, B, all the training that you've done along the way, C, all the mistakes that you've made, and look at you with your 100% track record of figuring it out. All of that together sets you apart. And I think that is really that mindset work where we have that negative internal conversation. There's a dialogue spinning in our own head that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we don't know enough. That is just so false.
Yes.
And we need to talk more about that because it exists for every single one of us. We all have it. Right? And that gets in the way a lot, Brenda.
Oh, it is definitely the mindset, which again is it's the self-leadership, it's the self-discipline. What are you doing to make sure that you are filling your cup And more especially, like I gave my example of like in my 20s, I could like, Diet Coke, 7-hour workday.
Yeah. 3 pots of coffee. Yeah.
Mindset was like going to a concert, like jumping around for 5 hours, dancing. Like that was like my version of mindset in my 20s. Now it's like, I need to, if I don't get out of the house by at least 4 o'clock, my partner Scott is very good at this.
Yeah.
Go for a walk every day.
Love that. Yeah.
And the dogs are just like standing like right there, like my table. I sit at the dining room table. I'm working here, and like they'll be on the other side of the table, just looking at me. Like,
yes.
It starts off like a look of like, come on, and then the look turns to like despair, and then it just turns to like, you're ridiculous for still sitting here. And so, but that's what I sometimes need to like shut off the cycle, because I have this inherited perpetual behavior of like wanting to work hard, because that's how I was recognized for the majority of like my career. Yeah. And I think we also need to acknowledge that as women, like you have worked hard to get to this point right now at midlife where you have all this experience, and sometimes you were rewarded and recognized for it. And most of the time I would say you were probably overlooked. So you worked even harder to get recognized and rewarded. And so you've got this like innate behavior now, and it's hard to like unravel that. And people will say, oh, you gotta let it go. And it's just like, thank you. I've been doing this for 35 years. The 5 years that you've been doing it, I've been doing this for 35 years. Yeah. And it's, and even before that, let's include elementary school and high school. So let's just say I've been doing this for 55 years. Yeah. Wanting to show up for people pleasing, reward, carrot type behavior. So I do need those mechanisms around me. I have like notifications, like get up, move. I've got my dogs. Scott. Like I need those things around me to then get into the right mindset sometimes. Yes. Because it just doesn't come naturally to me. Like, I should go meditate for 20 minutes. No, I'll get it. And I love meditation, and I love going to, a breathwork session or a sound healing session. Like whenever I go, I'm like, oh, I should do these all the time. But like, I have to like schedule them. Otherwise it just doesn't come naturally to me. Yeah. And I just, because I don't think you're alone in this. So I want to just say, if you're listening and what Brenda just said sounds like you're really dedicated to what you do. Brenda is really dedicated to what she does. And I love my work. I love what I do. Yeah. And you are always about, like, I've reached out to Brenda and said, hey, what about this? I need some help with that. She is always all over it. I know that all the women listening to the show are this very similar, really dedicated professionals, really dedicated to their clients, their product, their service. And sometimes it is hard to step away. Sometimes we are that, not just high achiever, we're a hyper achiever. We're always, always, always pushing for the next level. It's never enough. That's when it becomes a real problematic situation, because it takes everything from us. We don't step away. We can't. And the truth is, I want to do a little shout out for the positive intelligence work, because that book and that work, that boot camp is very, very helpful. It is the DIY, right? Because someone says you will just stop. Brenda, you said it. Like, thanks very much for that. That's not helpful. Yeah, no. Right? Like, thank you. Yes, I know I can stop, but I can't. The positive intelligence work actually shows you, teaches you, and rewires your brain so you can stop, so you can have the objectivity, so that you can recognize when the high achieving becomes hyper achieving and is no longer serving you, your business, your client, and particularly often our families. I mean, you talked about it, right? So and we'll put a link in the show notes so you all can find the positive intelligence book and the boot camp, because that's what shifted everything for me. Because when I get into that hyperachieving, people-pleasing space, I need the things to do, the tools and the techniques, and that's what it is. And you're right. We don't have 20 minutes to go and, do a meditation. Well, we got a buttload of work to do, right? We got a full calendar. We don't yet. So that's hard. Right? It is definitely hard. And I love the work around positive intelligence, because it does definitely help you recognize those tendencies that you have and how you can make those shifts. Yes. The other thing that's also really important is putting in the systems. So for a long time, it's, again, you've been rewarded for that individual effort that you've put
Yes.
in. You were a director or a VP in corporate, right? It was like you were recognized by that individual. I worked for, again, very entrepreneurial meritocracy type environment.
Yeah.
So it was eat what you kill.
Yeah.
Like, you get recognized for that. And so again, that's a behavior that's just sort of like in my DNA.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think one of the things that I've had to really learn how to do as an entrepreneur is to put the systems in place, even though I think I can do it better just from my own intel. It's like, no, I got to automate something. I got to bring in the people.
Yeah.
And you talk about this a lot. Like, you've got to build those teams out, and you've got to build in the support team, like your board of directors that can help you.
Yes.
Even if you're a solopreneur. And that's where I think, like, for me, my business has evolved a lot. And that's where I'm supporting my clients the most right now, is recognizing. And as much as we can, commiserate or identify with all these things that we, have to juggle as midlife, I want our midlife entrepreneurs that are listening to recognize that, yes, all these things can still be going on. Soccer shoes get forgotten.
Yeah.
Dad needs help. All these things that you get pulled into last minute, but your business can still be making money for you.
Yes.
And that's one of the things, like, in the past, I designed my business to be like, I was the epicenter of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I've shifted. The epicenter of my business is actually my email list.
Yeah.
I'm no longer the epicenter of my business. My email list is the epicenter, and that actually is what generates revenue for me now.
Yeah.
It used to be like I was only making money in my business if I was on 24/7. And I've shifted that now. It's my email that's on 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. And Brenda, that's one of the things that you do so well, is help women really create this powerful email list, this connection that actually really generates a lot of the business for them. And I love that, because I think that's a key element in our business that does get missed. It gets over the launching and all of that other sort of more sexy stuff. The list building isn't super sexy, but it's really important.
It's really important. And there's so many women that I talk to that have, like, whether it's like 500 followers on Instagram, all the way up to, I've some clients that have like 10,000, 20,000 followers on Instagram, yet they don't have anybody in their email list. And again, I'm not coming from a place of judgment.
No.
It's been so much about me, being forward facing in the business. And while I still think that's important from a visibility standpoint,
sure it is.
You can't always be on, and there's going to be some days to recognize that. And that's where I think again, I have to be forward facing. I need to be visible all the time. It's like, well, have you ever heard of repurposing content? Like, if you have a great video that did really well for you, just share it 10 more times this year.
Yeah.
20 more times this year, 30 more times this year. It's like, unless you've radically changed your business or whatever you're saying in the video doesn't exist anymore, you don't believe that. If it did well for you the first time, it probably will do well for you the second, third, 10th time. And stop showing up every single day. Repurpose things. Have things on auto. Build those things in the background to work for you. It's called an evergreen business, if people haven't heard that terminology before. And it's like, I can be selling all the time, but I can also be boarding a plane at the same time.
Yeah.
Get off in London, and there'll be straight payments.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't really recognize, because when I started my own business, I was working with business coaches that taught me this model of you have to show up, live launches, all these things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was in, when we were in the heart of COVID, well, it was actually the year after COVID when things were opening up, and my daughter was accepted into a program at Columbia, Barnard University, the women's university. And she was there for the summer and caught COVID in residency. And their policy at the time was you have to leave. We don't quarantine you in another part of residency.
Oh my
You're just
gosh.
out, and you have to go find a place. And I got this call saying, your daughter has COVID. I'm like, okay, that's too bad. And I texted her. I've got the, we had already had it as a family. So I was just like, okay, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I've got the sniffles and a sore throat, but they made me do a test and I'm positive. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Okay, well, are you quarantining? Because she shared a room with her roommate. And they're like, no, you have to come pick me up. I'm being kicked out of residency.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, well, what do you mean I have to come pick you up? It's I'm in Vancouver.
Yeah, you're halfway across the world. What's going on?
And she's like, told me that you need to be here by 5:00 today. They're making me pack my stuff right now.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, what? And, so long story short, we got out of that situation. Of course, I'm a troubleshooter. I figured it out. And we all survived to tell the tale of it. But it was also in the middle of a projected 50K launch that I was running, where I was like scheduled to do live launches, and I had all these sales calls set up with potential clients, and I was selling like $5,000 to $8,000 individual packages.
Yeah.
And I had that all aside. And, you know, and then it's like dealing with all the stuff. I had to go to New York.
Right.
We poured for 2 weeks in New York and all that sort of stuff, the expense, everything.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I didn't get back into that cycle of launching for another 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So that to me was like lost revenue, lost time, lost opportunity. And I also went through a bit of a headspace after that where it's like, I suck at business. And, you know,
Yes. Yes.
thing, right, where I had to like ramp myself back up again. And all the while, I'm like, there's got to be another way to do this where I'm not constantly on and not being like, and so that's why I started learning green businesses. But I see this all the time from women where it's like, dad got sick. I got to go deal with that. So I have to like not be in my business for the next 6 months. And I'm like, what? No, this constant start, stop, start.
Yeah.
Really reads our confidence. It takes a ton of energy. And so that's what I'm working with my clients on now is like creating these evergreen businesses where your list is growing, where things will happen. Like, let's just not this utopia world, like, oh, I created this perfect business with beautiful nails. It's like, no, shit happens. And like, I need to still be making money because I have accountabilities. I have responsibilities.
Yeah.
I want to bridge this wealth gap because I left my corporate career. I need to make a certain amount of money to pay for certain things. And it's also midlife and I need to start thinking about my retirement. So I'm not saying this to be all doom and gloom, but it's like, if you haven't thought about some of those systems, if you are still feeling like you are like the epicenter of your business, please take this opportunity. Think about it. Like what would be like, if I could carve off 10%, eventually 80% to something that is more automated, would that give you the freedom that you want and that you're craving and you'll love your business?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And just, I mean, to tie it all the way back to the beginning, which is this is about you leading in your business and in your life. So decide what is the business that you want to have and lead that business in that strategic direction. And I think your idea that you have 10 or 20% of that even to start with, that's evergreen. You want to show up, you want to add value. I think we all do. Hand up. I love working with my clients.
Well, and this is
right?
Showing up, right? Like,
Exactly.
I love on an Instagram live. I love doing those things.
Exactly.
I choose when I do those things.
Yes.
I'm feeling like at my best.
Yes.
I have to do these things, 70 hours a week or showing up because I am the only one that can drive this industry.
And that, my friends that are listening, that is strategic leadership in your business, right? That is showing up for yourself first. That is setting up your business so that it works for you, that it gives you the pleasure, the joy, the fulfillment that you want, that you get to share your brilliance with the world because you have great things to offer, and it fits your lifestyle in a way that makes sense, right? Financially, emotionally, and your presence. And I think, Brenda, that is just such a beautiful message for everyone to take away from this episode today, is that you got to lead that. That's up to you. You got to be in charge and thinking strategically about your business, not just working in your business.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for all of this awesomeness today. Where do people find you, Brenda?
As much as I try not to stay on Instagram, it's
That's a necessary evil.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil. No, but yeah, I love being on Instagram because I get to connect with a lot of my audience there, and I see their businesses and how their business is shaping, because they will come to me. Women entrepreneurs will come to me and say, "Hey, like this is what I'm going through with my business," and I can see instantly how that is showing up on their Instagram. Because sometimes Instagram is a bit of reality, depending on who we are.
Yep.
So Instagram is a great place to be. It's Brenda Rigney is where you'll find me. I'm sure you'll have that in the show.
We sure will.
And then you mentioned the Aligned AF community.
Yep.
So the Aligned AF community is a really thriving community with lots of women entrepreneurs, aspiring, but also in their business, have been in their business for the last 2-3 years or even longer. And we share stories, we give insights, we ask questions openly. But the big thing is that we do collaborations together. So, as an example, depending on when this podcast comes out, we've got our June summit that's coming up.
Yeah.
We have over 35 women contributors. Lindsay's one of them.
Yeah.
That speaking in the summit, sharing a VIP gift with everybody. And it's a way for our members to grow our list. So in our community, we talk about list building, but we're actually doing it. So that's one of the things that I take a lot of pride in, is that we're not just sort of talking the game, but we're actually doing it, and we're helping our members in our community like really grow their lists. So I get into the groove doing it and building these evergreen businesses.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm a member of the Aligned AF community, and I've met some incredible women. We've done some incredible work together. I get to spend even more time with Brenda, which I love. So yes, we will put all of this in the show notes so that you can check out Brenda and see what she does. And she's very generous with her time and her thoughts and her expertise. So you definitely want to be connecting with her. Thank you again. Super grateful for this conversation. Again, we always have a good time, and this is just one more of those.
Yeah, lots of laughter. This is really fun.
Yeah, thanks very much, Brenda.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Female Founder Unplugged. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Connect with me on Instagram at High Volt Leadership and send me your questions or let me know your biggest takeaway. Looking for more strategies on scaling your business, building a powerhouse team, or leading with confidence? Head over to highvoltageleadership.ca or follow me on LinkedIn for exclusive content, resources, and special offers just for listeners. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and remember, the real magic happens when you're unplugged.